Good evening and welcome to the Standards of Geekness podcast. I am one half of your host, Evan Jones, aka the Nacho Man this week.
And I am the other half, Brian Mercer. How you doing, Evan?
Uh, Outside of an ear infection and, the sad news of a dear friend passing in the wrestling world, uh, you know, I figured we would kind of dive right in. I thought we should, at your recommendation, I thought it was a good idea. Tonight's show is going to be in honor of Sabu, a close personal friend of Brian's, a man I've met a couple times throughout the years, but I've gotten to know him. Uh, I have a little 10 bell salute for you, Brian, that I think we'll play, so that way we can honor Sabu the correct way.
Appreciate that.
That's apparently technology does not want to cooperate. Let's do it the right way. So you knew Sabu, you worked with him a few times, a lot more than I. What the hell happened there? Um,
I don't know.
YouTube autoplay. Um, Go ahead and regale us with a few of your stories of your time with Sabu.
Sure. So, I guess the first real story to tell about Sabu, and I think this one really says a lot. It started on my very first day in the wrestling business. I actually met Sabu on day one. Um, and I was actually hired originally to be a photographer, website designer for a company called AWWL Big Time Wrestling, uh, which was run by the Far Hats, and that's the original Sheik's sons. Um, so I'm in the locker room and I'm making my way through introducing myself, and I get to the back and there's Sabu. And I mean, I was a huge Sabu fan, Sabu and RVD back in ECW. Oh yeah, man. So I went up to him and I extended my hand and I said, "Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Brian, and I'm." And he cuts me off right there and he goes, "Are you a wrestler?" I said, "No, I'm." And I was gonna say photographer, and he said, "Get the fuck out of my locker room." I was like stunned. Like, what did I do to upset this guy? He goes, "Don't fucking look at me like that." I said, "Get the fuck out of my locker room, or I'm gonna beat your fucking ass." So I I left the locker room pretty quickly, and I'm like when you're standing there next to Sabu and you're like you see like these scars all over his body, it just makes it even more intimidating. He's got a real pissed off look on his face. Um, the owner ended up making him apologize to me a little bit later. A month goes by, and I'm in the backstage area. I'm taking pictures again. Um, and Sabu me, he goes, "What are you doing in my locker room? Who told you you could be here?" I said, "Well, Eddie told me that I could be here." He was the like president of the company. And Sabu says, "Well, I didn't tell you you could be here." And he literally, and I want to be very clear about this, literally kicked my ass out the door of the locker room. and that was just kind of my relationship with him for a while. So then, uh, about 6 months went by. I got trained to be a referee, and I'm in Jackson, Michigan. The anthem is playing. I'm behind the curtain, getting ready to go out for the opening match. Nervous as all hell, and I turn and I see Sabu walking up to me. Just looked pissed as hell, and he got within inches of my face, and he went, "Good luck," and extended a hand to me, and he completely caught me off guard, and it's when I kind of realized, like, that that Sabu gave me an initiation to professional wrestling that I've always ended up appreciating a lot because it was an attitude of, if you want this, then you're gonna put up with any shit that I give you because you really want it. And once he knew that I really wanted it, um, the way that he treated me changed a lot from that point on. If he was gonna like run up to the gas station or something, it wouldn't be unheard of for him to grab me and be like, "Hey, come to the gas station with me, help keep the fans off of me," kind of thing. Or you know, the became a lot more genuine after that. Dropped a lot of the pretense, and you got to actually see the man behind the gimmick, which it was really great to get to know him a bit. Um, I, I, it's kind of hard talking about him because it's like, um, there's other wrestlers, people that I've worked with that have passed away. Balls Mahone, Road Warrior Hawk. Um, I mean, shit, Road Warrior Hawk. I was with him the day before he died. I refed his last match. But somehow this one feels different because Sabu was always the guy who like got up and fought through any stupid, ridiculous amount of pain to make sure the fans got to see a great match. And it didn't matter if there's, you know, 20 fans or 20,000. He was going to give it his all.
Yeah. Yeah, he lived and died wrestling. That's the best way to look at it. We've seen some reports come out today that have kind of went over a lot of the health issues he was having. And for those that don't know, Sabu actually had his retirement match WrestleMania weekend against Joey
Yeah.
Janela. Um, in that match, he got knocked out cold and got basically came to when Sandman's music hit. Um, Concussions are no joke. From what we've been reading and what has been put out there, he had some heart conditions and other health issues that were happening that he was keeping pretty private. Um, that said, it's incredibly sad when these things happen. It's you never truly plan on losing a friend or losing somebody you know, and especially like within the wrestling community. Those that know Sabu know Sabu.
Honestly, I remember hearing Paul Heyman talk. He was asked once, you know, out of all the guys in ECW, who are you mad? Who's the person you're mad didn't make it, that like should have made it? And he said Sabu. Like, in all reality, with as innovative and as insane a character and stuff as Sabu was, as extremely athletic and as willing as he was to push himself to that next level, I'm honestly amazed that he didn't have a longer stint in WWE.
Yeah, honestly, that was probably towards the later parts of his career because the early '90s he was in ECW and on the indie circuits. Sabu came up during the VHS tape trading days. His matches with RVD, with Cactus Jack, Sandman Dreamer. There's so much. You know, it's the best way I could describe it. The wrestling community as a whole is a brotherhood. wrestlers, it's a brotherhood, and when those all intermingle, it's beautiful and it's sad at the same time when one of them passes.
Well, it's this big, everybody knows that it's a work. You know what I mean? But the truth is a lot of the guys who against each other and working against each other, those become some of the closest friends, some of the closest
Yeah,
working relationships. Almost we went to war together. Um, I'll tell you another Sabu story. This is one another kind of unexpected thing. Um, so I was at a fair, just a like a Saturday fair kind of day show, and Sabu's cousin Tom comes up to me and has this picture of Sabu with another guy in the camel clutch, and I'm roughing the match, and I'm like down there, checking to see if the other guy wants to tap out. And he's like, I found this picture. I thought you might. One was a nice big, 8x10 picture. I was like, oh, thank you very much. And I had set it on the bench where we were getting dressed at, and I was changing into my gear, and Sabu comes into the room, and he sees this picture sitting there, and he looks down at it, and he says, "Oh, let me guess, you want me to autograph this for you?" And I said, "No, Tom gave it to me. I just, haven't put it away or anything." Because one thing you got to know is Sabu didn't like signed autographs. He really did
well,
not
no, I
like
mean,
signing autographs. It's not that he didn't like fans. He liked fans, but he also liked his privacy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
He liked that barrier. Um, but he would still. It's not that he wouldn't sign autographs or anything. Wouldn't take pictures. Of course he would. Um, he just it wasn't his favorite part of the job, and so like as someone who's working with him, I was never going to ask him for an autograph. So anyway, I go out and I work the first three. I was refing at the time. I went out and I worked like 3 or 4 matches. And I come back to the locker room, and there on top of my bag is the picture to my favorite zebra, Sabu. And in referee terms, the zebra is a referee
yeah,
is a zebra. So we call each other zebras all the time. So I think that just goes to kind of show like some of the heart that he had. Like
mhm.
he would always make sure he's going to give it to you. Um, and I guess oh my gosh, actually, I got Raw up on the TV here. It's showing pictures of Sabu right now. Um, so I'm gonna end. I guess I'm gonna end stories with this is always kind of one of the funniest um stories I always thought of Sabu. So there was a show. We were at some bar, and there was like 10 of us, and we all went out about an hour before the show, lit up a joint, and we're gonna all smoke this joint together. And out comes Sabu, and he sees all of us together, and he pops his head, and what are you guys doing over here? And oh, we're just sparking up this joint. Sabu goes, oh, well, I gotta go in like quick. And I'm like, sure, Sabu. And we had him the joint.
Oh no.
The joint started off this long, and then Sabu started taking his hit.
Oh no.
He smoked that entire thing in one hit by himself while we all stood there and could do nothing about it. If you ever like questioned whether that man could party, I guarantee you he could because he Snoop Dogged that thing like there was like no man had any business. So, Sabu love you. Be good. Good luck in that big Royal Rumble in the sky.
All right, well, moving on to some good news. As you all can see at the bottom, there's a new ticker. We can proudly announce that we are part of the new affiliate program with DuelingGuard.com. They're a gaming supply company. If you enter the code SOG, you get 5% off on all your orders. They've got high quality products. I've bought some myself. I plan on recording a review of some of it, and then when I get I'm going to order some more in the future and do more reviews. Whatever you spend there, that ends up helping out the podcast too. And then you also get 5% off there. It's high quality stuff. Your favorite anime characters, your favorite, they've got some sweet, Blue Eyes White Dragon deck boxes and binders. They've got,
And
I'm a
sleeves.
huge DBZ
They
and One
got
Piece.
sleeves.
They got sleeves. It's high quality
Sleeves.
stuff. They got mats,
Real
both
good
one
sleeves.
player and two player. They've got this sweet Shanks from One Piece deck box, and then when you open the deck box, it has the character in full color art there too. It's got magnetic strips, tons of great quality stuff. I highly suggest you check it out. Links are in our description because we are a big believer in information and description around here. It's exciting.
And make sure when you go, you put in that code. The code
yes,
right there on the
SOG,
ticker at the bottom of the
and you get 5% off, and then that helps also us pay for the things that help us grow the podcast. And we're going to be growing the podcast huge in the future to come.
You get stuff, we get stuff, everybody's happy.
Exactly. So yeah, let's dive right into Backlash.
Oh god.
So we did a prediction.
Can we real quick, hold on, pause. Evan, I gotta stop you. Man. You can't dive into Backlash. Backlash was way too shallow of a pool for you to dive into, man. That's dangerous.
In honor of Sabu, I'm diving into Backlash.
Well, Evan broke his neck in a 3-foot pool. Up to Daniel and I to carry this one on. All right, let's go through this.
Yeah. So before we get in, we did a prediction. We gave our thoughts on Backlash. There was a match that didn't even happen that we predicted that was supposed to. Everybody was led to believe was going to be on Backlash, but all of a sudden wasn't on Backlash. Jey Uso versus Logan Paul.
We decided.
So you mean to tell me he wins the world title at the WrestleMania, and then he defends it against Rollins on Raw last week. But then no pay-per-view defense for another month after this? Stellar job, Triple H.
It really does feel a bit more like a mid-card title than a world title when you're not defending it on the pay-per-view. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be defending it on Raw. I liked that he defended it against Rollins on Raw. I thought that was great.
That was great. It just feels less than, and it feels intentional. It feels like they want Cena's to be propped up, just like they did with Cody, and Gunther had that. I'm also pissed because no Rollins, no Braun Breaker, no CM Punk, no Roman Reigns, or anything. Like, outside of Cena versus Orton, this was mostly a mid-card pay-per-view. I don't know about you guys, but my expectations when it comes to the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania, it sets the tone for the entire year for me, at least all the way up until SummerSlam. And
well, that's what you would think, and I actually do have a little bit of hope. And the one hope that I have for this actually came from after the pay-per-view. Okay, so that was the segment between R-Truth and John Cena, and I'm hoping that they draw this out a long ways, because I think it would be really cool if I have I have a couple ways that I think this could potentially end. I've been kicking around the idea that everyone talks about with, Cena becoming at, at the end and going out of baby. If that go, I think I may have figured out that. But our truth, look, this is our
You're
truth
cutting
at
out a little bit, Brian.
SummerSlam would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yes, Cena versus our truth at SummerSlam, one on one. Our truth. Imagine if it was our truth, like actual aggression level and getting angry and like drop like happy-go-lucky facade that he's always had, like, and what make that John Cena, makes it in his calculations is he didn't realize because he didn't realize how the fans would turn on him. Our truth is his ultimate fan. Our truth therefore represents the fans going into that SummerSlam match. I think it could be really, really interesting.
Yeah, I think honestly, you could tell a Rocky versus Apollo Creed like from Rocky 1 story. Um, I mean, overall, I didn't. I thought most of the matches on the card were actually good matches. I just the presentation felt less than. So before we dive into our predictions and the results, the scoring system to remind everybody is if you get it right, you get 1 point. You get it wrong, you get 0. If there's bonus points attached to it, you get a bonus point.
Bonus points
So first,
usually like surprises that we call
yeah, or
run-ins.
predicting like a finish or something like that.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So our first result, Daniel didn't actually get to pick his own. He had Chris because Daniel was a little late to the tea party last week.
Daniel, did you go back and see who Chris picked for you?
I don't think I did. I don't think I got a chance to. I don't know. I assume he
All right.
Chris made
So,
good
so
picks.
you might have. So you don't even know. As far as you know, you could have won.
Yeah, I could have won.
Spoiler alert: you didn't.
You didn't, but you could have.
You could have. Dirty Dom defeated Penta. We all picked Dom to win this. It was too soon. He just won the belt.
Yeah.
I do think they're planning on telling this story for a while. I think it will lead to Penta eventually winning the title. Maybe not at SummerSlam, but maybe at Survivor Series.
Now, since you and I both called Finn Balor getting involved and stuff, I think that we both get an extra point here, right?
I will agree to that. So that's yeah. We all called it. So 2-2-1.
2-1.
Jacob Fatu defeated LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest. We all picked Jacob. We had a bonus point for a secondary winner in case they swerved us because we didn't want to have a tie. Yeah, Jacob won. It was a great match, best match of the night. Jeff Cobb appeared. Timu Bloodline 3.0 has arrived.
Just pointing it out now, with Jacob Fatu as the incoming champion and now retaining champion, that's like match of the night 2 pay-per-views in a row.
The dude is straight up gas. No breaks, all
no
gas.
Breaks. I mean,
honestly, the SmackDown before when Drew crossed his eyes and was mocking him, kind of like The Rock used to do. I popped so hard for that. Drew took a bad bump in this match. It's believed he has a concussion. Basically, Priest did a South of Heaven, and Drew's whole head missed the table. So his head hit the concrete. It was a pretty nasty spot. Yeah. Jeff Cobb arriving. Jacob's reaction to Jeff Cobb arriving. for those that don't know, Jeff Cobb and Jacob share a huge amount of history on the indie scene. I believe it's their first 4 or 5 encounters. Jeff Cobb beat Jacob Fatu. He was like his number one op on the indies for a long time.
But it's
And
very
like,
unclear. It's very unclear at this time, though, if any of that history is going to get drawn on, because they didn't actually call him by his name on the Backlash
they
pay
did.
per view. Did
They
they?
said, yeah, they said Jeff Cobb's here. Wait, that's Jeff Cobb. But like
'Cause
on the
big,
post show, they said
big.
they said that the man known as Jeff Cobb, is here. Who knows
That's
what
what
he'll
it
be
was.
called here?
No,
Yeah, it was.
who
I mean,
knows what
blame
he'll be
Biggie.
called.
That's Biggie's fault for that. I mean, he has no idea.
But as long as that's in the ether, it is a question. Like, in some cases, like sorry, brain fart. In some cases, like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, you're very strongly drawing off of the indie history that those two have. In other cases, like Finn Balor and AJ Styles, yeah,
It's
it
teased.
is known that like they were part of Bullet Club together and stuff, but it's very niche and just hinted at, not in your face at all.
Yeah.
Ironically, Finn Balor and AJ Styles are actually wrestling right now.
Yeah. Overall, it was a great match. It'll be interesting to see how they play out this Temu Bloodline 3.0. Lyra defeated Becky Lynch. Chris and Brian picked Lyra.
Temu Bloodline 3.0.
What? I call it like I see it.
That's good.
He's
No,
not even Samoan.
no, it's
He's not even Samoan.
No,
He's what Filipino, isn't
He's Filipino and Hawaiian.
no,
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying it's not accurate. I'm saying it's funny. I'm giving you. You
Really?
know what, Evan? You get a gold star this week.
Hercules, Hercules.
Hey, Daniel, that reminds me. Where are your gold stars? I'm be giving those things
Score.
out like I give out stars like Dave Meltzer gives out 5-star reviews.
Overall, this was a solid match. I really liked Becky being the antagonist here. That spot where she was beating on Lyra in front of her fiance was an interesting twist. I'm not sure what their intention is with the Intercontinental Championship, if they're drawing this story out a little more. I'm excited to see more of what they can actually do with Lyra and Becky with this story. Something just tells me we're going to get a swerve here, and Bayley's going to come back and help Becky, or maybe somebody like Lash Legend gets the call up and helps Becky win the title at SummerSlam.
What I heard reported earlier today was that the primary reason they wanted Lyra to retain over Becky was to push her up into that more main event tier of women's wrestlers by having not just one but two victories over Becky Lynch. I don't think that was successful. I don't think you get into a top tier spot by beating one person.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that seems really stupid. And I think whoever was reporting on that might have been talking out their ass.
like, I honestly think that you go a lot farther if she was to like, say she had a 15-minute time limit match against Rhea Ripley, right?
Yeah.
Go the whole distance.
Yes.
Go the whole distance against Rhea Ripley. Take it to Broadway. No winner, no loser in time. And then at the end of it, Rhea looks at her and offers her the handshake. I think that does more to build Lyra Valkyria and show her on that main event level than a victory over Becky Lynch.
The problem is the perception with Becky is that she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time. even Sports Illustrated came out and rated her that. We've all got our own opinions on that list. The fact that Rhea Ripley wasn't on there is a travesty. Luna Vachon. There's so many wrestlers from like Mae Young's time.
I mean, there's no Kelly. How could you forget her?
Sherry wasn't on that list. That was the one that I was just like, what are you? How can you not have Sherry on that list? Because she was one that contributed to the main event. And I'm talking like WrestleMania main events.
Yeah.
She contributed to. And
I think the logic there is she was more of a manager and not an actual wrestler.
She was a wrestler too, though. Oh.
It's perception.
She had one tag.
We didn't see her wrestle that often.
Was Moolah on that list, or am I just misremembering it?
No, we don't mention Fabulous Moolah.
See, it's weird because it's like
we don't talk about Moolah.
So much for women's wrestling, but at the same time, her legacy has been really tainted from these past.
She did nothing.
Wait. Hold on.
She held it back for decades.
Daniel, you don't progress women's wrestling by holding yourself at the top and then telling a whole bunch of people underneath you that they're gonna become something by being your bitch.
I can understand where she's coming from.
She wouldn't put over anybody. How do you think she was champion for so long? She refused to put anybody over. When she finally lost the belt, it was because it was a screw job.
Yeah, I kind of obviously,
and then she got the belt back like a couple of years later.
Yeah, and I think we've all saw the Dark Side of the Ring documentary on it, and it's like.
And I'm not going to speak on the validity of whether any of that stuff is true or not. I'm a believer. You believe victims. My whole thing is taking that part of it aside. In the era she was in, women's wrestling wasn't legal for a long time. Like there's so many women that pioneered the way for it to become a thing. Moolah, during that time, set that back. She ended that. Now, I think it is a travesty to have Mercedes Moné on that list. Absolute fucking travesty.
Yeah.
I think she is.
I don't know if she was or not. I feel like AJ.
I'll pull up the list. Let me pull up the list. Well, I'll pull up the list. We'll keep going with our predictions, and we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Well, this is gonna be fun.
Because you're gonna see me absolutely fucking rip Mercedes Moné apart.
I
mean, right now, I'm trying to think, like...
We're just gonna let Evan go. Single screen. He's gonna take the whole screen. 5 minutes just going at Mercedes Moné. And not in the way that you want.
The problem with Mercedes Moné, like, she's...
Let's get back to the predictions, and we'll recap to this list.
Yeah.
Cool. Gunther defeated Pat McAfee. I got this right. Chris and Brian both picked Pat having Goldberg interfere.
I just want hold on. I just want to say though, I'm gonna go back to this. You heard why I predicted Pat McAfee.
Oh, I absolutely heard that.
He even agreed with me by the time I was done that that's what should happen. And I still maintain that's what should have happened. That was that was wasted time. That whole match was wasted time. And it made
Gunther look like a fucking joke.
I still think that they should have done, and the way I thought about it is like they should have done it where, Pat knows he's going to lose to Gunther, so he just sticks his middle finger up at him and says "fuck you," and then he goes into the clutch, chokes him out, and done. And I think that
might have been more entertaining.
Yeah,
I really wish they would stop giving Pat McAfee fucking time in the ring. He's a fucking announcer. He needs to stay behind the booth.
No. There are times to use your managers and your commentators in ring roles. There are points to do it in order to build storyline points, but those storyline points should be built for bigger matches. The only time that you should be building up to a big match for a manager is if it's a heel manager who, like, you know, you've been wanting these guys to get their hands on him for so long, and it builds up and builds up and builds up, like Jim Cornette. Cornette went a long time without anyone ever getting their hands on him. He always weaseled away. And so when it finally came time for that scaffold match, he didn't exactly feel bad for him breaking his leg.
Yeah.
You know what? Shut up, Daniel. Eric, you get a gold star today.
That's one more than Daniel.
Because that's one more than Daniel.
Keep that name out.
No, I really do think that there are times to have managers or commentators in a match. Occasionally Jerry Lawler getting from the commentary desk and getting back in the ring, I didn't mind. When I minded it was when it was Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole, and we were centering an entire WrestleMania match feud on the two announcers that, if it would have been Michael Cole just getting his ass dragged into the ring, stunner, and thrown out, I mean, wouldn't we all have enjoyed that a lot more?
Absolutely. And I think that's my problem. Is this is like the fourth or fifth time that Pat McAfee's had a match at WrestleMania or at a big pay-per-view in some capacity. And he's being given the limelight. And I get it. He's a popular podcaster, college sports guy. He does a great job behind the booth. This did nothing to build up a feud. This did nothing to build Pat or Michael Cole. And it sure as shit damaged Gunther, in my opinion. He just lost the world title. Yeah, he won. But, he shouldn't have looked winded versus Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
The way Gunther looked after that match was like Pat took him to his limit.
I still think
Gunther should have it should have been, if you were going to do it like that, then Gunther wins with 4 moves. Like a 2-minute squash.
Yeah. It should have been a squash.
In no world should, Pat McAfee be able to compete with Gunther. I mean, Pat McAfee should be losing matches to Carlito.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I think they should have just had Gunther absolutely annihilate him in the ring, just absolutely dominate him from the moment the bell rings to that, and then maybe like you saw, when Michael Cole was holding Gunther's legs down for the pin, you could have easily done it that way, where Pat McAfee wins, but just because of pure
that would have been worse.
If you're gonna do a false spot like that, I can understand it, but you need someone bigger to come in, and that's part of why I was all for Goldberg getting involved here. Straight up, you put the two of them up against each other, Gunther's gonna smash Pat McAfee, but because of the legend and the mystique of Goldberg, all we really needed was Goldberg to come in, spear, jackhammer, pull Pat on top, and we all would have accepted a 3 count.
Yeah, would have been absolutely. We all would have gone. That would have been way better.
We would all have been awesome. We can't wait to see the next chapter in this story, because we all would have understood that this was just the beginning of a bigger story. But the way that this was told, it was just a waste of time to do something with Gunther because he didn't have anything better.
See, I feel like the story going into this match should have been Gunther needs to redeem himself post-Mania, and he keeps losing big match after big match after big match.
But Gunther, how does Gunther? I'm with you, Daniel. But how does Gunther redeem himself by beating a commentator? Like,
Yeah,
if it
to
would
me,
have been like Gunther lost to Jay, and so he goes and he grabs Jimmy, and he's like, "If I
Yeah.
didn't, I'm gonna beat you because I didn't beat your brother." I mean, if he went on a whole tirade and starts going through every member of the bloodline now, on this like stupid inner quest where like I have to beat all of them and then I'll work my way back up to Jay. Wouldn't that have been interesting? Wouldn't it have been interesting to see him work his way through all the members of the bloodline and then the last one he gets to before Jay is Roman. And Roman's now in this position where like, wait a minute, I'm the number two to Jay. And it
Oh,
adds
would have been a
another
far more
layer
compelling
of
story.
depth to that story. And that's the kind of story that we've storytelling we've come to expect to the Triple H era, where this starts to layer over here and actually adds layers to over here. You know,
Mhm.
that's good storytelling.
And he did such a good
Um,
job last year. That's why I'm shocked that everything lately has just been garbage. Or at the very least, it's good matches with garbage presentation. And then the main event, John Cena defeated Randy Orton. We all picked John Cena. R-Truth being involved was kind of funny. I think
I find it
it's
quite funny. This felt very much like a match from the 2010s, like finisher
well
spam,
that
like
that
overload.
is
isn't that what you want? Wait, pause. Wasn't that what you wanted? Didn't you want a replay of a classic John Cena Randy Orton 2010 match? Isn't that
That
you
what you
literally called
wanted?
for that
yeah,
3 weeks ago.
yeah. I
So
generally
why
do
is
think
it
they should.
now? No, I'm jumping on you. You represent the Mark community. You're gonna get it on this one because you just brought it up. A couple weeks ago, exactly what you were asking for was a classic style Randy Orton versus John Cena throwback type match. One more for the nostalgia, childhood, all that. And we told you going in, all right, but John's gonna win, Randy's gonna lose. We're gonna keep going with this John Cena heel turn, ruin wrestling. And you were like, I don't care, just give me what I want. And then they gave you what you wanted. They didn't even give you the false ending that Evan predicted. They gave you a legit finish to the match, albeit with some, chicanery with the referee and everything. But it was a 2010 style match. And now you and all these internet marks are getting online and want to complain about it. Oh, it didn't look. Shut up.
I mean, I'm only
Shut up.
upset.
Shut
I'm
no,
only
no, no, no,
upset.
no, no.
I'm only upset
No.
because it feels very similar to AJ Styles for the Shinsuke Nakamura. I hate the bull stuff. I hate the whole, oh, I'm gonna go for your balls because I'm a bad guy now. Like it's just, I've seen this before. I don't want to see this again. And yes,
Did he
okay,
do it to win the match? Pause. Did he do it to win the match or did he do it after the match? That's an
to win.
important that's an important distinction here. It's an important distinction here because where Shinsuke was doing it to win the match, you know, or it became to win the match. The first time he did it was after, but it became to win the match. Cena's not doing it to win the match. He's doing it as an exclamation point. Screw you. Okay. And and what? That upset you? That pissed you off? Did the heel make you unhappy? Oh no! Oh no! The bad guy did a bad thing.
But the
Jeez,
perfect finish
man.
was there. The perfect finish was
One,
there. You could have easily did the bit where they were like, Cena knows he can't beat Randy, slap him, DQ.
but the problem is, and this is what pissed me off about reading the reactions all week long online, is John Cena has told you from day one since WrestleMania he is going to ruin wrestling. Actually, even before that,
Yep.
he is going to ruin wrestling. He's not going to give you what you want. He's going to give you everything you hate. And for people like you and people that are marks on our page and people that are out there in the internet wrestling community on TikTok that are angry about it, this pay-per-view wasn't good as a whole, but this match was great. R-Truth being involved is actually perfect because it sets up a great story to tell for 2 to 3 months with R-Truth representing the literal fan. And it's a callback to Capital Punishment in 2011 or 2010 or whatever it was, when R-Truth faced John Cena for the WWE Championship.
Actually, I think we might be getting an even deeper cut than that, my brother. What if this was actually? What if this was actually a deep cut going all the way back to the Hell in a Cell match?
Oh, where Miz and Truth interfered?
Yeah.
It could be interesting.
Like, it wasn't so long ago that Miz and Truth were tag team champions again. That's still in recent zeitgeist of memory. So it wouldn't be unheard of for Miz now, who is, I mean, he's doing a little something with Carmelo Hayes, but it'd be easy to move him over in a couple weeks, and now he's on the side of R-Truth and backing R-Truth. Even more so, even more interesting than that, if that was to be the case, and I know that we're all very anti-Dwayne around here, but if you'll remember, what that all led to was a tag team match, Cena and Rock versus R-Truth and Miz.
That was a bad match.
And, it was a bad match, but it calls to mind some interesting throwback opportunities, and I think a whole run of Cena's is like this, we should be picking out the Easter eggs all over the place. R-Truth, I love the idea of R-Truth being like a possible ultimate foil even for Cena. Like, what if R-Truth finally took the belt off of Cena? How amazing would that be?
If they told the right story with it, I'd be absolutely down for it. And what gets me is people complaining about, like, well, R-Truth's just a comedy act. Well, guess what? R-Truth was more over as a comedy act than half the roster was in 2014 through 2019. Like,
absolutely,
yeah, true. And considering I watch,
what gets me even more is, like, they just forget that he's a former 2-time NWA World Champion.
Former tag champion with Road Dogg.
Former tag champ in TNA, former tag champ in several places.
United States.
Not to mention the 50 million reigns as a 24/7, 5'11" Kentucky Fried Chicken European Intercontinental Interstate Champion.
Well, I do think that now that WWE is doing business with TNA, and because of how adjacent the NWA is to TNA, I do think now is, we've heard them mention AEW by name, we've heard them mention New Japan by name, and obviously TNA by name. I think now is the time to bring up that past of R-Truths to the WWE audience.
Honestly, let's see. Our next pay-per-view is
Money in the Bank, I think.
Money in the Bank? That's probably... we're having a draft. Gross. It's Battleground.
Oh, no, wait. The next show is, was it Saturday Night Main Event, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Saturday Night Main Event. That'll probably be R-Truth versus Cena. That's probably going to be a one-off. That's in Tampa.
Yeah.
Then we're going to see Battleground, Draft, and then Worlds Collide. And then Money in the Bank is in Cali in June. That'll probably be CM Punk. Night of Champions is in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Is Cena there for that one? Or is that not?
Wouldn't shock me.
I mean, who should do for
my God. SummerSlam's the first weekend in August in New Jersey. And then Clash in Paris is at the end of August.
Do you know what I will say now, and I'm gonna sound like such a bitch, but like, there's too many pay-per-views, and it's not enough time to build the cards.
Well, I think part of that might be the Logan Paul Jey Uso match not happen this week. Maybe want to build more intrigue and interest into that match for Money in the Bank.
I think they're also they're building up Saturday main events to be their own kind of mini pay-per-views, and they're gonna have those start going against AEW, some of their Saturday events.
Yeah, but I understand it's a free pay-per-view. It's on YouTube, so you can watch it at no cost. Blah blah blah. But it's like there's no like big matches. They're always just like put together last-minute matches or like.
Cena's literally going to retire at a Saturday main event in December.
At the last one we had back in January, if you recall, the main event was Jey Uso versus Gunther, and apparently that's a good event WrestleMania. Or, sorry, be a title match WrestleMania.
Even then, I would still say, like...
Wasn't that the one where Cody and KO had the ladder match?
No, that was Royal Rumble.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, Cody and KO did wrestle at Saturday Night's main event. I don't remember which.
Oh no, wait, because that was the match where they brought back the old ring.
Yeah, that was the wing title. That's where he stole it. Is it at? Yeah, that was in December, and then January at Royal Rumble is when Cody got it back in the ladder match.
I still think like that we should have got like a Kevin Owens versus somebody as Triple H's representative to beat Kevin Owens up for laying his hands on him and disrespecting him. But also the KO got injured.
At this point, I don't know that we're going to be seeing KO again.
Do you know what? I do generally think we might have seen the last of KO. Like I just think, well, he's getting older, and I think he wants to kind of spend more time with the kids anyway. And
I can see him transitioning to being a manager.
Yeah, it sucks because he's still
the danger of what they do.
Yeah, and it feels very much like an Edge situation, where like I think he maybe just has a couple more matches in him, and then he's got.
It wouldn't shock me if he retires by the next.
So you're saying he's going to retire for a decade and then show up in AEW under a bad name? I don't know, man. That doesn't sound like a good way to go out to me.
I do have this weird
sounds
feeling.
like hope.
Do you know what? I had this weird feeling like one day, like KO's going to retire. He's going to come out of retirement for one more match against El Generico in AEW, and we're going to have another Edge versus Christian storyline.
Nah, you're going down the wrong rabbit hole. It's gonna be Cactus Jack versus Terry Funk when they're like 60.
Seriously, Daniel. I can't do another Edge versus Christian thing, man. I've seen Edge versus Christian on repeat so many times, and if on this show we're gonna be repeating something, then Evan, how about you tell us about that sponsor?
Make sure you go to duelingguard.com, enter the code SOG to get 5% off all your orders. High quality product, gaming products, mats. They've got bags, mat tubes, sleeves, deck boxes. It's high quality stuff. I'll be probably recording a review of my Beast Gohan deck box probably tomorrow. It's a sweet deck box. I can't wait to show you guys.
Make sure that you use the code that's screaming down at the bottom of the screen right now. This is not like the Enforced Truth stuff that we've been talking for a year. That's authentic. This is 100% real. Go to the website, use the code, get yourself some cool gear.
Yeah. So Brian, Daniel, Sports Illustrated's top 10 women's wrestlers. Let me read the list to you. It's number 10, Alundra Blaze / Medusa. Yeah. I can respect this. Bianca Belair.
Yeah, I can get
number 9.
I can get down.
I feel like it's too
Bianca's
soon
still
for
a little
Bianca to be on
young.
this list.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
definitely
she's
think
done some
a little bit higher.
higher.
See,
And we're see the thing is Bianca. I still believe that Bianca's best is yet to come. Like I don't think we've
one,
seen best of Bianca Belair yet. And I do think very highly of Bianca Belair. Like I'm not downing her. I just don't think that like at the point where you're a couple years into your main roster career. Like seriously, think about it. She hasn't actually been on the main roster for that long compared to a lot of the other wrestlers that we talk about. And
mhm.
you're like, she should be up here in the greatest of all time. Yo, slow your roll. She
Well,
probably hasn't even had her best match yet.
and here's what gets me is they've got Bianca on this list, but no Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, that's when I'm like,
Like
I don't know.
Rhea gets the best reactions outside of maybe Becky Lynch in the women's division today. She's
Hmm.
a dominant. She's the closest thing to China they've had since China.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm. Oh, she's better than China.
exactly, she can actually wrestle. Number 8, Asuka. I can kind of see this. I can respect it a little bit. That run in NXT was pretty formidable at 914 days. Number 7, China.
Asuka, I think they did Asuka a disservice, but I do agree that she deserves to be on this list.
Yeah, that I agree with. Number 7, China. Obviously, founding member of DX, Intercontinental Champion. Um, she's also had a run as a women's champ. I mean, I guess Beth Phoenix is a comparable amalgam to China, or Rhea Ripley is as well. But like,
Hold
I
on,
just don't think they're.
are you gonna seriously take away one of China's greatest accomplishments, dude? Going back on look at video games ever since China was around, the China Bazooka was one of the best entrances ever. No, Daniel, you're not coming with me on this. China with a
Daniel's probably too
bazooka
young to
it
play
shot
those video games.
dreamers. Oh my God,
I'm
Daniel,
this way that's gonna
you're
really piss
negative
both
one
of you
gold
off.
star.
I think, in
You
my
are
personal opinion,
officially negative.
I think China as a whole is very overrated. I'm saying like she's very average.
She was an attraction wrestler
Yeah.
first and foremost. I mean, she was a physical specimen. And not to minimize anything
What about
that Joni did, but like,
legitimately her run as Intercontinental Champion with Chris Jericho was extremely entertaining.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
she
I
did
think
Like,
even then,
entertaining stuff.
I like
no,
jokers
no,
on
tell,
podcast.
tell me tell me another woman. You tell me another woman. Uh, even going up to today. Tell me another woman to put in that spot and do that exact same thing with outside of Rhea Ripley.
No.
Maybe Beth Phoenix. That'd be about it.
I mean, I still think like I said on his podcast, like
What'd you say,
he
Brian?
said, like he did kind of carry that feud himself because China was so like disinterested.
That's not. Well, that's kind of part of my point. I don't think China should be this high up on the list, in my opinion. But she did break ground,
Yeah.
and I think the problem is the metrics for this top 10 aren't visible. They're not telling us what they graded it on, and she's probably got this position probably because she broke the barrier.
Yeah.
Bailey at number 6. This is interesting. I can kind of respect this choice.
I feel like you have to put the Horsewomen on here, though. I feel like you have to.
Why?
I mean,
I think
why?
simply
Because they were called horsewomen back in. No. Hold on. Pause. I'm going to talk about the real Four Horsemen for a second. Let's talk about the real Four Horsemen, the legacy of the Four Horsemen for a second. This is a group that was created and went through iteration after iteration after iteration, keeping core members all the way through the 80s, the 90s, you know, until really the end of WCW. There was
Yeah.
some kind of iteration of the Horsemen lurking somewhere in the background. And that can't be said of the Four Horsewomen. Hell, one of them isn't even here anymore. They weren't a group that stayed together. They didn't end up having all the classic feuds between themselves. We were
They didn't
always
have a
expecting
story
them
to bring
to.
them together or anything like that. They were just handed the name because of
Yeah, and
Charlotte's.
at the end of the day, yeah, it has a lot more to do with the fact that Charlotte is a Flair than the fact that they were revolutionary talents. So I'm so over hearing about the Horsewomen.
Honestly, I'm with you there. I do think Bailey is probably the actual best wrestler of the four, in my opinion.
Oh
I
yeah.
think she downplays her skill a lot and wrestles down. Um,
I would say Bailey and Becky are the two best.
one,
Becky has legit talent, but I think
yeah,
lately she's been preoccupied and focused on other things. Um, but I think that legit Becky and Bailey both have an extreme amount of talent, and I don't think that
yeah.
Charlotte has the same level of talent that either of those two women have. Neither does
I don't
Mercedes
either.
Moné.
Well, speak of the devil, Sasha Banks, aka
I
currently
get-
known as Mercedes Monet, three belts Monet. So,
Is this you want to go on your soapbox?
oh yeah,
All right, here we go.
all
I'm
right.
just gonna mute
So I
myself.
don't know in what fucking world somebody literally just steps into the business and they have some wrestling ability and they understand wrestling to a point. They are so unbelievably unlikable as a character, so unbelievably one fucking dimensional that the only people that relate to this character are people who are one fucking dimensional and have one fucking personality, like
Or
one
cucks.
mode. Like I Bailey carried Sasha, aka Monet, in that NXT takeover match. I don't care what
Yeah.
anybody says. I watched the match a bunch of times. It is one of the best matches I've seen. Bailey carried her. And that's part of my problem with Mercedes Monet is she's been carried through a lot of her matches, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, she carries a lot of the other talents." No, 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 no. They are carrying her. Go watch the fucking match. I'm
Like
tired of pretending.
you can list them all. Like Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, fucking Carmella.
I wouldn't go that far with
Carmella
those.
carried her. That says a lot.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. Those women are not as good of wrestlers as her. Um, but of this top 10 women's wrestlers of all time, she belongs at number 10 at best.
Yeah.
She has failed to evolve as a character the entire time she's in the business. It's literally, hi, I can do a stupid entrance and go pose and pose and
She
like
gets a couple of scenes in Star Wars and she thinks she's a megastar. And
yeah,
in the words of
that's also
No,
part of my fucking problem.
hold up,
She
pause. She she had what her cousin or her uncle. I'm not sure which one Snoop
Snoop
is,
Dogg. She's related to
but
Snoop Dogg,
yeah, she's
who's a
related to
WWE
Snoop, so
Hall of Famer.
that's why she's a mega star. He's done, he's had more impressive WrestleMania in moments than she has. Just saying. I was more
My
impressed
whole
with his
thing.
people's elbow.
Damn, that's sad. Fucking Andre Splinter's mom's tits sad. My whole problem with her is everybody treats her like she's on this pedestal that she's so great, and I don't get it. There is no personality there. There's barely wrestling acumen. She's one dimensional. She's got like 6 moves she does, and it's a lot of stupid things like this. And I get that she's trying to present this heel character and this narcissistic heel character. Excuse me. She is so fucking bad at this, and it is
Yeah.
transparent that she is bad at this. Like
It says
you
a lot
cannot sit there
when
and tell them. You cannot give me a good reason that she is a believable character. She's been the same fucking character for what, 14 years?
Yeah.
Make it
I
make
think
sense.
that's the
Make it
big
make
problem.
fucking sense.
I think that's the big problem. People, everybody, everybody evolves. We all change, we all grow as people because of this event in our life, this event in our life, this circumstance. We all grow as individuals, and I think that's the biggest thing is Mercedes Monet is still Sasha Banks back in NXT.
And it says a lot recently when someone like Kylie Cameron is kind of stealing that spotlight from her, and it's there's not much we say because okay, and Evan, like you're saying, she's got to leave fucking
better.
And it's just, I think at the end of the day, like I think if she does evolve past this, this narcissistic character, there is generally a good character there that is ready to be evolved into the next stage of her career. But she's refusing to move forward. She says she's worried about taking the win.
She's too busy charging marks like you $99 to text with her assistant.
I would never buy that. I mean, never.
I don't believe you, Daniel.
I mean, if it was
Daniel texts with Mercedes Monet every night before he goes.
I mean, if it was Core J's OnlyFans, I mean, maybe. But...
That's a whole different topic.
I don't even gotta say it, Daniel. I don't even gotta say it.
Oh God. Oh Lord.
The standards, the OF in standards of geekness, Daniel, is of, not. I don't want you going out there and creating an OnlyFans for us. I don't want you doing that.
The standard.
It's gonna be you and Xander Shaw. It's gonna be you and Xander Shaw in mankinis doing the Bruno Hotel scene.
No, it's just gonna be me sitting in a cup chair in a hotel, just watching like other people have sex.
Anyways, moving along to things I didn't need to know. I think we're gonna have to mute Daniel for a minute.
Yeah, just leave. Daniel had to leave the show. Oh darn.
Number 4, Lita.
Oh God.
I would say Lita deserves. I think Lita deserves to be on that list.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think. Yeah, I mean, her and
if you look
Trish Stratus is.
If you look at the caliber of matches that women were having in WWE before she started wrestling versus after she started wrestling there, it's like night and day.
Agreed.
Night and day. She brought Jacqueline up to a higher level.
Like how? Like how?
Sorry, Dan, I'm muting you so Brian can speak. You keep interrupting.
Dan's gonna have to learn to raise his hand, like back in grade school. Sorry, Lita brought the talent level and the match quality level for wrestlers like Jacqueline, Ivory, Molly Holly, all up to a higher level than what they were previously. And so I would definitely say that Lita deserves to be on that list. But I also think that it's, and this is one of the things about Lita, and I say this about China, I say this about Sherry. They were not limited to just like a women's division. They were looked at as more full characters over the show, and I think that's a differentiation that's happened for a handful of women's wrestlers, especially in the more modern day, where I feel like things get segregated out. I like seeing, I'd like to see Maxine as an example wrestle more, where because she has that crossover, and you can build those relationships and character stories across the genders. And I wish we had that more. Lita did a great job of that. Trish did a great job of that. I think she's on the list next.
Number 3, Trish Stratus. Um,
I do think she should have been a
Should
bit
be
lower.
number 1. Mute
remove
him.
teenage.
Mute.
Remove.
I'm
No.
generally
That's,
Brian.
we're fighting.
Brian.
We are. But
Brian.
I mean, I'll be honest. She's a good wrestler, yes, but
Very good wrestler. I actually would have put her at number 4 and Lita at number 5.
see, I would have flipped them round. I think Lita was just better than Trish.
I think Trish eclipsed her. Did you have to go calm teenage Brian?
Here's the thing: the only reason people talk about Trish Stratus being really good is because of her looks and her tits.
No, that's not true, Daniel. That is minimalizing her
that's
impact.
not.
An incredibly
Yeah, that is
senseless.
absolutely not true. That's not true. As a matter of fact, I would say, like, if you want me to prove that wrong, I can do it in one moment. The kiss with Christian. If you want to know how how much impact Trish Stratus had over the WWE universe, there was a storyline that had been running where Chris Jericho and Christian were, they were buddies and tag team partners. Chris Jericho had been in a relationship with Trish Stratus. It had been like, oh, will they, won't they? It was all building up. It was, he wanted her and she wanted him, and they were getting closer and closer. And then Christian and Jericho have this falling out in the middle of it with nothing really to do with Trish, so it seems. And then all of a sudden at WrestleMania, Trish screws Jericho, helps Christian win, turns heel, and there was this kiss and this dastardly look on her face that straight up Stephanie McMahon, her entire career, tried to emulate. Like, that one moment, I think, separated her. And I know that wasn't a wrestling match, but I think that one moment just exemplifies the impact she had emotionally over the audience. And that's really what it's all about. You can have one match a year, you can have 10 matches a year, you can have 100 matches a year. You're still trying to make that emotional connection with the audience.
Well, and I'd argue that's what WWE is way better at than AEW. They're able to sell tickets off an emotional connection with their characters to the audience. AEW builds it off of good wrestling. They don't have the storylines to back it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still.
I know it's gonna make.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna make Brian mad. I don't think I would have had Trish at number 3. I would have had her at number 4 and Lita at number 5. I would have had Rhea Ripley at number 3, in my opinion, given the impact, even in her 10 years in the business. And her impact is on a trajectory where she will eclipse Charlotte and eventually Becky.
I mean, do you know what I will say? The fact that like AJ Lee is not in the top 3 or top 5 blows
She was only
my
there
mind.
for like 2 years.
No,
Why would you? Question. I'm gonna ask you a question. I want you to justify. Why are you saying AJ Lee over Paige?
And that's the thing. Like, I was gonna say Paige, but then I think, like, after she lost the belt, she didn't really do.
Yeah.
much.
See, right there, already you're looking at the wrong factors for what makes
Like,
a Hall of
if you
Fame
look at,
count.
Paige,
Oh wait, no. Oh well, when she lost the belt, then no, that's a booking decision. That has nothing to do with her. You need to be looking at. You need to be looking at the quality of matches that the wrestler had and the impact that they have with the audience, their connection with the audience. Those are the two biggest driving factors that the individual wrestler has control of. The wrestler doesn't have control of whether or not they go over or not.
No, I'm also going to say just that.
It doesn't work for me, brother.
If you look
Okay,
at like
maybe something
until when she won the title, then yeah, I would probably say yeah, I could definitely see that. But in post losing the title to now, I mean, it's.
I agree with Brian here. I think you're looking at the wrong context.
I look at like
So,
post yeah.
Paige, in my opinion, should be a contender for the list. AJ Lee, kinda, maybe. There's an argument for even the Bellas
I,
or Ronda
I don't
Rousey.
think. Oh, definitely not Ronda Rousey. Absolutely not Ronda Rousey.
I think there's an argument to put her at the back end of the list. Her impact isn't. The women would not have gotten the main event at
I mean,
WrestleMania
would you
had it
put
not
Nikki
been
Bella
for
on this
Ronda
list?
Rousey being involved.
I
There
mean,
is
I
a
mean,
okay.
if impact is part of the calculation here. You can't ignore that.
oh, what
No, I
about
agree with
No
you.
offense to Becky or Charlotte.
Oh, wait. What about Beth Phoenix? I feel like she should be on this list.
And she's probably someone I would have had on the list.
But it
In
blows my
consideration
mind
as
that
well.
she's not on the list. I mean, maybe even Karma or like Amazing Kong. What?
Okay, Awesome Kong was the wrestler's name. It was Awesome Kong, and her career was cut tremendously short before she got to really do anything on WWE. I know she had a big impact on TNA, but if we're gonna suddenly include TNA wrestlers in all of this, then where the fuck is Gail Kim?
Yeah, with Mickey James.
Fuck yeah.
Fucking even the beautiful people. Madison.
Oh,
Rain.
absolutely.
Like TNA's women's division was stacked in the late 2000s.
Yep.
Stacked.
Do you know what I will say? I think they kind of revolutionized women's wrestling before WWE did it.
Well,
agree
WWE was
with that.
doing the Divas division then.
Yeah.
Like I won't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, TNA
Yeah,
treated the women as, women.
There was actually a lot that TNA did, early on, six-sided ring that was actually driving forces in wrestling. They were the ones who were still pioneering the cruiserweight division with things like Ultimate X. The women's division was leagues ahead of where WWE's was in the mainstream. Um, they were doing things with WWE talents that WWE wasn't able to do. I mean, there is something to be said for things like the World Championship run that Christian had when he went to TNA. He was looked at as a good guy at best in WWE. He went to TNA, immediately solidified himself as a world title contender, and carried on that mystique for the rest of his career.
Well, yeah, and like look at what TNA did for Kurt Angle. Like Kurt's known as a WWE guy, but like he spent more time in TNA.
That's
He had a
true.
more prolific career in TNA.
Even then, you have to look at like the wrestlers
Angle.
they built.
And
I mean, all the wrestlers
Peak
that kind of
Angle.
like
No, Daniel, come on.
peak.
You got peak angle.
Duos,
Peak angle. Peak angle.
no, touch the tips. I had to. Okay, number 2, Charlotte Flair.
No,
Uh,
definitely not this high up.
slightly better Mercedes Moné.
I think the only
Charlotte's at
reason
least evolved a little bit.
I think the only reason she's this high up is because of that Mania main event. I think that's generally the reason why she's this high up.
I think Sports Illustrated would have put her in the top 4 probably, no matter what.
Yeah.
Even without that.
No, I'll reserve what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Her value, her impact.
She did a lot of the whole first iron, like
I'm gonna mute you.
matches, and yeah, like she did a lot of the new matches kind of thing, and.
But realistically, the biggest problem I see with this list, okay, from top to bottom, there is no one pre-Attitude Era that's even considered, and the wrestlers in the Attitude Era are very sparsely considered. I do think Luna Vachon does deserve, the right to be on this list. I talked about video games a little bit earlier with China. but I don't know if you realize this. Did you know Luna Vachon's the first woman to appear in a wrestling video game? Luna Vachon was a playable character. Yeah, Luna Vachon was a playable character on WWF Raw for the Super Nintendo, making her the
I
first
remember that.
women's wrestler that was actively playable. And who did she play against? She was playing against Doink the Clown and Bam Bam Bigelow and Razor Ramon and Diesel and Undertaker and Bret Hart. Like, when you're talking about names like Bret Hart and The Undertaker and Yokozuna and Lex Luger, these are marquee names. And Luna Vachon was a big enough name that she got lumped in there with them for a group of like what, 10 or 15 wrestlers that made it to the video game? Because it wasn't a real big card, or, big selection that you had there. So she was still big enough to make it there, but she's not big enough to make it on this list. That's BS, man. That's BS. That's short-sightedness
The reason she's not on the list is
from whatever Gen Zer put this together. I don't know.
There's a lot of recency bias. Before I discuss number one, they have an honorable mention section of the Bella Twins, Mickey James, Beth Phoenix, AJ Lee, and Victoria.
Victoria. Okay. Victoria, I will say, we haven't talked about Victoria, and Victoria's pretty good. I would say that she deserves to be in the conversation. And I agree with the honorable mention placing of her. I don't think she would actually make the list in the end, but she did a lot. She actually at least had a career, a full career for us to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And this whole list kind of like it just pisses me off. Like in general, it's a lot of recency bias. And obviously, number one, this one I actually don't disagree with. It's Becky Lynch. In terms of name value, impact, just what they've done in the business.
I still think number one should have been Santina Moira.
Yep, I knew he was going. The second he said that, I knew he was gone. And I feel okay about it. I feel cleansed.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, and to be clear about that Santina Morella thing, Santina Morella was the female character that Santino Morella played in WWF and showed up for things like the first women's Royal Rumble, and at least there got eliminated right away, and I felt a little more okay with that because I know they were trying to fill some spots on that one. But yeah, no, Santina.
Yeah, so no. Not only that, Santina. It was a transphobic joke that Vince made. That's literally what it was.
Yeah, the next thing you know, Dan's gonna want us to put James Ellsworth on this list.
That's because Dan is James Ellsworth, British James Ellsworth.
That's your standards of geekness deep cut for the night right there. Real deep. We're cutting that one.
Yeah. So Dan, I'm gonna invite you to come back out here and apologize to our audience.
I've made a bad continuous. That's my judgment. I am just here to apologize.
Okay, thank you. We don't condone transphobia, any type of phobia in that regard here on the pod. Dan has learned his lesson. We're sponsored fucking it. Video and
well, hold on. Some phobias are okay. I understand agoraphobia. All of you that can't go outside, you need to stay inside and watch
the bigot phobias.
Podcast over and over. You go ahead. Okay, don't let Evan scare you away from that. You go ahead and watch our show over and over and over on repeat. We have more episodes. Full backlog.
I blame Vince for
watch
that.
Them.
I mean, Vince, I guess he kind of made it okay to kind of.
He tried to normalize it.
Yeah.
And I do not stand for that in any kind of way. Two of my closest friends
the normalization
are part of the trans community.
Bear in mind, you had to realize was just a little kid, so I didn't understand why it was
But you're
so
an
bad.
adult now. You're
True.
an adult now.
I still.
I'm going to hold you accountable. Just
Yeah.
like I want to be held accountable if I fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along. This list, it's obviously incomplete. There's a lot of opinion-based things, but it does beg the question, and I think this is an interesting thing. A while ago, for our YouTube channel, we tried to do a greatest of all time tournament. I think it's time to revisit that.
All right. I would be up for that.
There's no
Oh, yeah.
gameplay involved here this time, Brian. You don't have to worry about that. You don't
Yeah.
have to worry about being let down.
That's fine. That's why I'm okay. I'm
So-
like you're pitching this. I'm all like I don't
I'm
want to do
pitching
it.
it live. I'm pitching it live. I say we take the 64 greatest men, and we have a tournament, and we have the fans. We give our takes, and then the fans also are involved too to vote.
Ooh.
64. All right.
64 is a lot. We can trim it back. You're gonna do 32 or even 16. We can do 16. It doesn't matter to me. I just threw
I
out a
will
number.
say though, we need to limit the amount of wrestlers we can use for certain eras, because I feel like we want to get like a good mix of everyone involved.
Don't you worry.
Well, don't worry. Evan and I will put together the list, and you don't have to be a part of it. So you don't have to worry about it being unbalanced. We'll make
I'm
sure
already
we get
like
even
half
Avengers.
the competitors are gonna be fucking Attitude Era, where you're gonna have fucking like, you know.
The amount of classic wrestlers I'm afraid you would forget about, Daniel, is longer than it's long.
I mean, most of that I probably wouldn't have heard of, or I've been dead for a long time. I haven't like hearing their name for the first time, but that.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be 64. I was just throwing out the idea. The idea popped into my head spur of the moment. It could be 16.
I
Could be
dig it.
32. I think it would make an interesting couple weeks topic.
Yeah.
Where we have a segment that covers a section of them at a time.
I'm down with it. I'm down with
my,
it.
My PG brothers.
Dan, you were like 5 seconds away from losing all credibility.
There's like 3 of them that exist in the world.
It's you and Vince McMahon and Snitsky.
No, I'm gonna be back in Festus. Come on, Festus, go and show them why you are the greatest wrestler of all time.
And that right there is why you will not be helping create this list. This list will have, however, I do think, Evan, I know you're not gonna like this, but I do think in order for us to be fair to wrestling history, we need to take out personal biases that we have about certain individuals that honestly
Agreed.
should be on a greatest list. So, like Hulk Hogan, I think should be in this tournament.
I think Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. I'm gonna throw it out there. I even think Chris Benoit should be on there. If we're gonna go the full Monty, and we're gonna remove how we feel
full Monty
out of it. And the thing is we're gonna give our opinions. See, our biases can affect our opinions, but we also have to deal with facts, presentation. There's gonna be factors, and then we're gonna have the fans vote and let us know who you think should advance. Now, if the fans wanted to, I don't know, bury Benoit and Hogan under the metaphorical ladders, that's their problem.
Benoit's winning this whole thing now.
Oh, you just know there's gonna be some fans who's like, okay, let's just go with the most controversial picks.
Well, and the thing is like everybody here knows how we feel about him. They know
everybody vote.
We don't like
want to vote, man. Everyone has their reasons
if
for
Hogan
voting.
gets to the quarterfinals, I swear to God, I might
fun.
just cry.
It's all for fun, man. And honestly, Benoit does deserve to, be on when we're talking about wrestling and legacy and stuff, man, like shoot, I put Benoit on this list just for Best of 7 series with Booker T.
Yeah. And ultimately, I don't think Chris Benoit will win this thing.
No.
But
Nope.
I could be proven wrong.
We all know
But I
who's gonna
think
win.
DDP is going all the way. Greatest of all
No.
time. The only one to still rehabilitate wrestling after.
so. What I'm thinking is to remove the biases. We'll get there, but we have a golden era bracket. So the Hulk Hogan 1980s. We've got the Attitude Era bracket with Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. We've got the PG era, and we've got the Renaissance era.
Well, I agree with you. I think that we might need to, and hear me out, Daniel. I think we might need to widen the Attitude Era to the number of companies that existed in that time. We aren't just talking about WWF. We're also talking about WCW and ECW.
Yep. And there might be some people that get left off. Benoit could end up being left off if we end up looking at the numbers.
I guess then for the PG era we can include TNA.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be a very
But every wrestler will only end up on the list once. So AJ Styles, as an example, could get lumped into the PG era because he was wrestling in TNA and doing great work in TNA and stuff during the PG era, and so therefore he doesn't end up in the Renaissance era where he's in WWF.
Well, and if we're gonna go that route, let's expand the golden era to feature classic era like Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, Bob Backlund.
yeah.
Oh, I absolutely 100%. I mean, I don't think we can have a list without Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, and Bob
Yeah.
Backlund.
Well, and the golden era is going to get filled up really quickly. Right there. That's like half of them.
Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man Randy Savage,
Roddy
Jake
Piper.
Snake, Roddy
John
Piper.
Gonzalez.
You
I think
just got
this is a wonderful idea. I think what we'll do is maybe we'll work on the list and then we'll announce it on the page throughout the week, and maybe we'll try to do the first section of it next week, and then have it be a weekly segment over the next couple months. That way, it's not a dominating topic where we're spending episodes on one topic.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. And Brian, I know you've got a show this upcoming, is it Sunday in Detroit?
That's right. This coming Sunday, if you're out there, Great Wrestling Show, come to Garden City, Michigan. The MDWA is going to be performing live at the Tipton Academy. Tickets are only $15. I'll be there along with the rest of the Bradford Exchange, causing all sorts of havoc. We've got a World Championship match, which yours truly is going to be the special guest referee in. So I hope you guys will come out. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And once again, new sponsor, duelingguard.com/SOG is the link. Use the code SOG for 5% off all your orders. Fantastic gaming supply company. I'll have a review up shortly. Super excited for this opportunity, guys. And as always, you'll save a little bit of money and you'll help end up funding part of the podcast and help us create the content that we can bring to you.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
before
well,
we go, I'd just like to once again, I just want to once again congratulate Eric on getting a gold star for today's podcast. I want to congratulate Evan getting a gold star in today's podcast. And I don't normally do this, but I thought I had some pretty good points in tonight's podcast
I
too.
think
So I'm
you
gonna go
deserve
ahead
a
and
gold star, Brian.
I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a gold star for the night. And that's gonna do it.
I'm in such a generous mood. I think anybody involved in HKW at any point that isn't Daniel Roberts should be on the list for a gold star. Even Mike James and Andre Splinter.
Oh, fuck you.
See you next week.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
See you guys.